What do you get when you take the easiest route through a job?
You get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
This has been on my radar all week long because there have been epic bodges perpetrated on the chassis of the Esprit. There is no place for that in a classic car restoration unless you want a lemon at the end of the day. And who wants that? No one. Please like and subscribe and do share the channel. Here is the Esprit. Interior, daytime, Delta auto body. On a dusty mezzanine level, a pair of alloy wheels sit on the floor beside the bare shell of a sports car. In the background, partially supported by axle stands, lies a half-strip chassis. And action. Well, my very first shot out of the bag, I managed to get the focus wrong. Anyway, we're going to strip the rest of this chassis, and this endeavour is going to be ruled by these rear hub carriers because they're alloy, they're extremely rare, and they break easily when the bottom link retaining bolts seize inside them. So what we're going to do is wire brush all of the fasteners left on this chassis, and then we're going to hit them with penetrating fluid and work on as much other stuff as we can before we go at these and try and get them off the car. I should point out, they will come off the car with the bottom link attached to them, so it's not a big deal. We'll get them off one way or the other. But I wanted to work on them while they're still partially supported by the chassis because I don't have a vice here. So while I've been blabbing, we've been making good progress and we're onto the trailing arm mount bolts. And you can see there are 4 shims on the inboard side of this trailing arm. This is what's adjusting the toe-in setting on the rear wheels. And then the rear bolts on the radius arm too. Now, while I go, just in case it isn't obvious, I'm doing both sides of all of these nuts and bolts. Both ends, I should say. So with all of those done, we can look elsewhere for stuff to do while that penetrating fluid gets to work. But before we get deeply into anything else, another important note is that I will periodically be going back to those nuts and bolts and hitting them with more penetrating fluid. So the gear linkage, that's still in the car. The gear stick itself is held in by a few bolts and the linkage attaches to it with roll pins. So out those came. And then there's just one 10mm nut on a pin holding the rest of the linkage to the shifter. Off that comes. We can get rid of the shifter, and inside the chassis we can now see all of the coolant pipes and of course the end of the gear shift rods. So here they are as they enter the engine bay. There's a pivot here. We'll drop that out and put the bolt back in for safekeeping. So now the coolant pipes can come out too. Starting with the lower ones, and the 2 large main coolant pipes, they pulled out the front no problem, but the third pipe, well, the reason why it's not coming out, it's because our Esprit has had some more specialist work done in the past, in the shape of another big hole in the chassis. And inside that hole, here is our pipe, which is obviously perforated or been cut, and the repair has been effected with a piece of rubber and some Jubilee clips, and that's what was stopping it coming out. So let's de-jerry-rig that and pull it all out, and we'll come back to that hole a little bit later. Now, on the topic of repeatedly applying penetrating fluid, here is that near side front upper wishbone. Well, you can see I've kept it fairly lubricated in the meantime, and it's moving a little bit better than it was before. One of the main issues here is the steel sleeve in the metalastic bush on the aft side of this wishbone is seized. So what I've done is I've tried to heat everywhere I could. In doing so, I certainly softened the rubber on one side of that aft bush, and then I just cut it off with a blade. And now the wishbone is moving completely independently of the mounting bolt, so we've got a much better chance. Now remember, I was saying that I've hit this mounting bolt hard enough that I've deformed the end of it, and I was worried, given that it's still quite seized, that would be enough to stop it from pulling through the chassis. So let's cut a couple of threads off. And the piece that I've cut off the end, well, we're going to talk about that again just a little bit later. But for now, let's just get this bolt out. It still took a lot of work with the hammer, aka the persuader, forward and back in the chassis before this was ready to release. But release it did, and we got it out. And I wasn't too worried about all that time spent on it, because in the meantime, our nuts and bolts on the rear hub carriers have been gently marinating, so let's tackle those. And actually, before I do anything, you should know that while this stuff is all attached to the car, it's all hanging very loose. So this is going to be tricky to do without having all of the shots very wobbly. The first nylock nuts come off and their washers. Everything so far is going fine, although I had no expectation otherwise. Onto the springs and up with some spring compressors, and most of the assembly hits the floor. I wasn't quite ready for it. I'm just glad you didn't have to see that on camera. So with just the fore end of the trailing arm still attached, we release that and we have essentially all of the rear suspension free on the deck. So let's head over to the offside and do exactly the same thing. The offside played ball just as nicely, and our chassis is now quite bare, and almost the penultimate items left on the chassis are those radius arm mounts, and there's just a couple of bolts on each one and they come out no problem. Now, something that worries me, as I was saying earlier on, there are some small shims in the form of quite ordinary washers between the radius arms and the radius arm mounts, but between the radius arm mount on the near side and the chassis there were two very large shims. That is not necessarily out of the ordinary, but they tend to be used in pairs, as in whatever you do on one side of the car, you do on the other. But I'm worried about the fact that I've found two on the near side and none on the offside. What's happening there? Well, that's for a later date, but like I said, our chassis is pretty much bare now, and I think that calls for some moody shots and kick-ass music. So what do you think? Massey Ferguson or Star Wars Pod Racer? To reality, and it's a grim one, but not as grim as I thought, because over the months and actually over the years I have convinced myself that this is in a really bad state and a proper problem. And now that I see this damage properly exposed, flipped upside down so I can really study it, it's not nearly as bad as I kind of thought. Yes, there are big holes cut in this chassis, but I have been practicing welding, you may have noticed, and I'm looking forward to the challenge of trying to fix these holes to a standard that would be imperceivable once I'm done. I'm confident I can do it. I'm also very excited to get into the panel beating part. Now, this dent here, I have to tell you, I believe that this is forklift inflicted. And not during the lift, it was during the test lift before we put the longer tines on, and it was completely my fault because I knew the pallet that I had put underneath the car wasn't good enough. But look, like I say, I'm not fazed by it whatsoever. It's damage upon damage. This panel had to be straightened anyway, and it will be. So here's that new hole, and you can see along the extremities of it there are the remains of rivets where there was a plate put over this hole. So nobody even tried to weld it up. But what really confused me, what I was baffled by, are the edges of the hole, because this thing hasn't been cut with a grinder, and the edges are rolled, and some of them are rolled inwards and some of them are rolled outwards. And I kept on investigating and I realised there's a second patch at the other end of the spine towards the front of the car. Now before we see what's underneath that, let's just have a look at the front of the chassis. This is the underside obviously as well, and it is all heaved in. This is from poor jacking, and so many Esprits are like this, and there's not a lot you can do about it save cut out the piece and put a new one in, which I've seen done. I called Si up to cast his eye and give me an appraisal, and we ended up concentrating on that forklift damage, and he said what you're going to need for that is heat and probably something underneath it to progressively push it upwards while you heat it. So there is a plan in place there, and I'm looking forward to putting it into action. But back to that mystery plate towards the front of the spine. I scrubbed off the wax oil and attacked the top of the pop rivets. And ladies and gentlemen, may I present to you an epic bodge. And now everything makes sense. with all of the other damage. It looks as though a pipe burst inside the chassis, one of the coolant pipes. Whoever was charged with repairing it didn't know where it was coming from, and instead of taking an angle grinder and cutting into the chassis, they obviously went in with a screwdriver or a chisel, hammering their way in and opening it up like you would a can with a can opener. And that is why the edges of the holes are rolled and in both directions, because they were being levered by whatever was used to get in here. This is so special. I got on to Hadley, who got this car when he was 21, and I figured this can only have been done by a 21-year-old who had the will but no idea what he was doing. And I said, Hadley, come on man, you've been holding out on me. You did this, didn't you? And he said, no. He said, I wish I could tell you I did, but I didn't. And I suppose I should point out that every one of these holes compromises the rigidity of this chassis, and there are signs on the chassis elsewhere that they have compromised it and that it has been flexing where it shouldn't. And I was very happy when I stood back and realised that I'm excited by all this. Not put off or peeved or scared. This is going to make this build all the more epic. When I finish this car, the sense of achievement will just be stellar, and it will be my car that I fixed. I'm not going to assume that there will be anything more special than this down the road. Well now, back to the tasks at hand, because the conversation with Sai ended with him telling me, well, you know you need to get this blasted now, because there's no point in trying to start repairing panels on it like this when you can't really see what you're doing. You need a nice, fresh, clean chassis. And that is something I didn't expect. And so we've got a few little bits and pieces that are still left on it that I just didn't think were important, but let's get them off, because now I'm in a scramble to find somebody to talk to us and help us with some blasting. Now the brake line meets the clutch line and they both run back along the outside of the offside of the chassis, along the spine, up to the front T, through it, and they go their respective ways into the body of the car. And there are just these kind of bent tabs all the way along the chassis to hold them on, and I released those one by one and gently teased both of these lines out of the chassis, because especially with the brake lines, these will be referenced. If I can keep them roughly in the shape they are on the car, then when I go to replace them with new ones, I have a template to follow. And there are these lovely little, what I think are stainless clips, retaining the brake lines across the front of the car. Now in the final hours of my 3-day stint this time, I turned my attention to the last few things. We only had 2 properly seized fasteners on the chassis. One was that seatbelt mount early on. Turns out I hadn't noticed there was a spacer on it, and with the spacer removed, there's far more of the old seized fastener, the old bolt, sticking out of the chassis that we can get a grip on. I got a lot of heat into it, and I found a nut that would slide all the way onto it, which I could weld on from the inside and then just cleanly turn this bolt out of the chassis. The only problem is, gee whiz, the welder had a full-on conniption. I just looked at it and thought, your days are numbered, pal. And just before we sign off, you remember those few threads I cut off the front wishbone bolt? Well, I've been doing some carpentry, and thanks Anto at Cawley's, they're the folks with the forklift, who gave me some bits of wood, some offcuts, to build a little shelf. Now I've got my digital scales here and a little plastic sweet jar. Now to test the scales, I was able to establish that my phone weighs exactly 113 grams and that the cover weighs 30 grams. After multiple test weighings, it seems to be about 1.7% out, which is a number we'll just consign to memory. And we'll also remember that our sweet bowl weighs 108 grams. Because every nut, bolt, screw, if it's too long, then it will be cut down to the optimal size, and the piece we cut off is going into this bowl, and we will know exactly how much we've saved by optimizing all of our fasteners. And that's your lot. And from here, with 458G, the Lotus Esprit Series 2, things can only get better. to Ben Peake and Jeff Preston, and to all my patrons. Folks, thank you for keeping this going. Soup is funded, I am funded solely by the patronage that happens over on Patreon. So as always, there will be a link in the description to Patreon, and if you can lend your support, it would be greatly appreciated. And if not, that's cool too. But please do hit the like button, subscribe, and I think most importantly, share with your car club, share your favorite episode with your friends, your classic car buddies, anyone you think who would be into it, and we'll get on. I'm going to close the welder campaign a little bit after this episode. I'll give it a little, bit more time to bump up slightly, because we're going to need one. I'm not going to touch the Esprit chassis with the gasless MIG. It's just not good enough. So I got to find a supplier, find a model, and get the welder on the floor in the workshop and get to work. That is it. I'll be along in just a week with episode 38. I'm not sure what's going to be in it, but until then, do stay stuck in, and good luck.